Hey guys, it's Sami, and this is Wrestling Unlimited as we are here on the 17th of July 2021 to talk about everything that went down tonight on Impact Wrestling Slammiversary. In my opinion, I enjoyed everything on this show actually. As I look back at the card here and my notes and whatnot, I don't think there was a match at all that I didn't like. I mean, the FinJuice, Madman Fulton Shira match, was that really even a match? Like, that's one you can go, that was all right. But everything else, I thought was pretty dang good. I really enjoyed this show. I thought overall it was a thumbs up, double thumbs up, A+ success for me. Impact always turns up, as the kids say these days, on pay-per-view. The weekly show and sometimes the Impact Plus shows can get a little meh. But for some reason, whenever they're on pay-per-view, whether that's Hard to Kill, Rebellion, Slammiversary, Bound for Glory, they always do great on the pay-per-view. So I do have to say that, double thumbs up. Double thumbs up for Impact tonight. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, never mind. I thought my stream was bugging out there for a second. But we're all good, though. We're all good. And what else is good is that you're watching me here on Twitch, twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, or over on YouTube, youtube.com/PW. Nope. YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Remember, if you are watching on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways, either with a super chat. Nope, that's YouTube. You can help us out with hitting that donate button down below or donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can subscribe to the channel on Twitch one of two different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription or for no extra cost to you with Prime Gaming if you have Amazon Prime, because if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Prime Gaming. And Prime Gaming doesn't just give you DLC perks and whatnot for different games like Fall Guys and League of Legends, but it also gives you one free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to support. No extra cost to you. If you're already paying Mr. Jeff Bezos for his Amazon Prime shipping or Amazon Prime Video, so that's good. But also, you get to support a creator on Twitch, and I'd really hope you've supported us here at Pro Wrestling Unlimited. On the flip side, if you're watching on YouTube, you can help us out in the live chat with a super chat or a super sticker donation. Also, remember, you can subscribe to the channel as a channel member. As a channel member, you get early access to news, early access to non-news videos, news, podcasts, all different kinds of things. And, well, you're helping us out more than we can ever thank. But the most direct way to support us is by heading over to patreon.com/PW Unlimited. I do want to say thank you to Greg Bryson for the super sticker donation. Really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. As I say thank you there, I also got to say we got Slammiversary to talk about. And again, like I said, I really enjoyed this show. And the action started off on the kickoff show, or the countdown show as they call it. Countdown to Slammiversary. But unfortunately, I didn't catch the match. I caught like the last 2-3 minutes of the match. Basically, the Decay, Rosemary and Havoc challenged Fire and Flava, Kira Hogan and Tasha Steelz for the Impact Knockout Tag Team Championships. We got new champions. The Decay are now the Knockout Tag Team Champions. Cool. I think Rosemary and Havoc are a great team together. So I can't wait to see where they go from here, who challenges them next. I mean, if we're going to get some challengers for them, if they don't go straight to a rematch with Fire and Flava, then maybe Jordan and Rachel. Jordan Grace, Rachel Ellering. That'd be a nice match. Rosemary and Havoc against Jordan Grace and Rachel Ellering would actually be a really good match. But as we move on to the main card, they knew what they were doing, opening this show with Ultimate X. Ultimate X is always amazing, and this match did not disappoint whatsoever. So in this match was Josh Alexander defending the X Division Championship against Petey Williams, Rohit Raju Trey Miguel, Chris Bay, and Ace Austin. So the match started with Alexander, Miguel, and Williams catching Bay and getting some early revenge after Bay turned on them after their match last Thursday. Rohit Raju had some trouble reaching the ropes that hold the championship high above the ring, only to end up getting taken out by Alexander. Later on, he would eventually grab the rope, toss it over the extended cable ropes, and climb it vertically. I thought this was a really cool spot, but unfortunately, Miguel was there, bring him down the hard way. We got a couple spots outside the ring, a combination of dives and kicks from Ace Austin, then ended up with Austin by himself going for the title. Excuse me. Damn, Baja Blast really getting me with that carbonation. Where was I? Ace Austin was by himself going for the title, only to get tossed from the top onto a pile of wrestlers. There was a really weird submission chain with Alexander legitimately hanging from the ropes as he got on an ankle lock on Bay, who connected to the rest of the wrestlers already in a submission on the mat. It was a great looking spot, a little weird. Never seen something like that before, but hey, it works. It's Ultimate X, and you gotta get tricky. You gotta get creative. I thought this was very creative. Saw a crazy destroyer on Bay as PD Williams was hanging from the ropes and dropped into Bay, who was on an electric chair on the shoulders of Alexander. Scary looking spot, but they all seem to be okay. At the end, it finally came down to Rohit again, and he made it to the ropes, but kind of got to the title, only to be stopped. Miguel brought him down again the hard way. Alexander and Bay fought for the title, hanging on the ropes. They had a little bit of a grab kind of deal, but they couldn't. No one could unhook it at one point or at all. This then saw a Ace Austin fly in with a springboard. Alexander finally dropped Bay and grabbed the belt to retain the title. A lot of stuff going on here. I probably missed half of this trying to write notes and whatnot, but super fun, hot match. Crowd loved it, and even for the small crowd that Impact had, I think this crowd was phenomenal tonight. Even for the small crowd that they had, I thought this crowd was great. Gia Miller interviewed Don Callis in the back. Of course, I say it all the time, Don wants to be Paul Heyman. Talked about the main event. He blamed Tommy Dreamer for Kenny Omega having to wrestle in a no DQ match. Callis said that he'll be there with Omega and that Callihan won't be able to kick out of the one-winged angel. Now, I didn't like it. I'll talk about this later probably. In the match, they said, no one kicks out of the one-winged angel. But didn't Moxley in the death match? Just saying. So next up, we had Brian Myers and Tennille Dashwood against Matt Cardona and a mystery partner of a mixed tag match. And everyone knew who the partner was going to be. I mean, they played up the fact that Tennille and Cardona dated years ago. And it's like, oh, who's he going to team with? Mickie James? No. Everyone's like, it can't be Chelsea. She's not cleared. She still has a cast on her hand. Well, fuck that. She wrestled with the cast on her hand. Yes, Chelsea Green came out and teamed with her fiance, Matt Cardona, which actually played a good dynamic in this match because Matt teamed with his current woman against his former best friend and I can't quote former, it is his former woman. Here's my one criticism. When they were released from WWE, Matt Cardona and Brian Myers, they went on their podcast and they talked about the release and they said, we don't want to be a tag team. We want to do our own separate things. Fuck! The whole time these guys have been in Impact, or at least every time Cardona's here, he's only working with Myers. Correct me if I'm wrong. Has Cardona done anything in Impact that didn't involve Brian Myers? I know Myers has, because he's actually signed with Impact. Matt Cardona isn't. But they said they don't want to be a tag team because they want to do their own things. Well, fuck. I mean, they're teaming on indie shows. I know right before they had their last big match against each other in Impact, like 5 days before that, they were in a 6-man tag in New Jersey or something. But I never got that. Why they were like, we want to wrestle against each other. Or we don't want to. That's not what it was. We don't want to be associated with each other right now. We want to do our own thing. They're only doing things together as far as Cardona is concerned in Impact. Like, give me a fucking another feud. These guys have been feuding for a year, it seems like. Like, ever since they... can't be a full year because they've barely been in it. Like, Myers has been in it around for about a year. And Cardona did some Impact or AEW stuff before coming to Impact. At least the last 6 months, it's just been Cardona and Myers. Anyways, Cardona brought out his fiancée, Chelsea Green. They said that, yes, she does have a cast on her hand, but Impact Medical has cleared her to compete. So, that's cool. Chelsea Green and Matt Cardona had matching gear with half Cardona, half Hot Mess style gear. Green, like I said, was working with a cast. Match started as Dashwood and Green tried to go at one another, and they really played up the fact, Chelsea Green is Matt Cardona's fiance. Neil Dashwood is his ex-girlfriend, and they dated for a long time, many years ago. So they got separated by Myers and Cardona, which is kind of weird. Like, let them go. They're fucking in this match. It's not like they're the valets or something, and you don't want the valets wrestling getting involved. No, they're in the match. Let them just start the match. It was after an early flurry that Myers cut off Cardona outside the ring. Since they had men versus men and women versus women, you couldn't do it intergender stuff. It was all Myers getting heat on Cardona early, but Dashwood did aid Myers to keep Green off the apron when Cardona tagged in. He went to do the whole jumping tag to Chelsea, and Tenille ran up and whipped her right off the apron. Green then finally did get the hot tag and came in, but it didn't really last long when Myers distracted her, allowing Dashwood to take her out. Dashwood also tried a low blow to Cardona behind the referee's back, but Cardona had a protective cup on. The finish of the match then saw Dashwood try to go for the unprettier. That got reversed. She then got low blowed by Chelsea with the cast. And women, does that really hurt? Does a low blow to a female actually hurt? I wouldn't know. I've never asked the question before. Anyways, she took the low blow. Chelsea hit her with the unprettier, and there we go. Also, forgot to mention, Chelsea hit an amazing Canadian Destroyer in the middle of this match as well. For some reason, didn't write that down in my notes. But Chelsea pins Tenille, and Matt and Chelsea pick up the victory. Matt then tells Chelsea, hey, go celebrate on the turnbuckle over there. And then he surprises her by grabbing her up on the one shoulder and does the macho Elizabeth spot. He's been waiting for a while to probably do that one. Fucking Matt Cardona trying to play macho. Macho Man, that is. Next up, we had W. Morrissey versus Eddie Edwards. And to be honest, this should have been the no. Well, here's the thing. When this match was announced, I go, if this match is no DQ, they're going to kill it. W. Morrissey and Eddie Edwards in a no DQ match or some sort of a hardcore match. But then they added the no DQ stip to the main event, and I go, they can't. And the main event was great as a no DQ match. I really enjoyed it. But I think this match would have been just phenomenal if these two guys could have gone out there and just wrecked each other no DQ style. But regardless, these two had a pretty good match. It was funny, though, because Morrissey legit looked like half a foot. And he might be taller than Eddie Edwards. Let's look. Morrissey is legit 7 foot. Eddie Edwards can't be. Yeah, full foot. He's 6 foot. I would say he can't be more than like an inch or two taller than me. I'm 5'9", 5'10", depending on who measures me. That was always the thing in the military. If there was one person, like there was one guy that measured me, always 5'9". The other guy that measures, always 5'10" from him. It was weird. It was like, which one am I? Am I 5'9"? Am I 5'10"? They always measured me just 1 inch off from each other. But Eddie Edwards, full 6 foot. So he legit was a foot shorter than Morrissey. And they really played up to the fact of Morrissey's the taller, stronger guy. Edwards is the slower but faster. What's the word I'm looking for? Not wittier, but like wily kind of guy. Like he knows how to get out of things and move around and, you know, use the ring to his advantage, his agility and ability. But the story of this match was Edwards had a strong game and Morrissey had the power game. Excuse me, I keep burping. So at one point, Morrissey got himself some momentum and he started hurting Edwards, who tried his best but couldn't cut off the momentum from Morrissey. Even when Edwards went for a dive, Morrissey just caught him right out of midair and choke slammed him into the apron for a countout tease. Morrissey tried to attack him on the outside, only for Edwards to catch him with a running Boston knee party for another countout tease. But now it was Morrissey trying to make his way back into the ring. Finish saw Edwards hit a blue thunder bomb and go for the BKP, but Morrissey hid behind the referee and then hit a big boot. Edwards recovered and hit a BKP, sending Morrissey to the floor where he got a chain from his boot. He hit Edwards, hit a power bomb, and picked up the victory. So W. Morrissey does defeat Eddie Edwards. I think this was the right move. They've been building up W. Morrissey since he came in as a strong contender, like just this badass fighter type guy. Like he can just wreck anybody. From what we saw at the end of the show, I'm trying to think of where he can go from here, because Impact doesn't have that secondary title that I think he would be perfect to go after. I think they've kept him very strong since his debut, but where does he go? He's not going to challenge for the X Division title, which is technically their secondary belt. So you got to think, he's not going after the world title. We saw where that's going most likely in the main event, or after the main event. And that's, I think, a hindrance in Impact. You got these guys that you build up and you keep them strong. You've got guys like W. Morrissey. You've got guys like Moose. You got guys like Chris Sabin that you've actually built up. But there's nowhere for them to go. Because you can only really, in theory, build up one challenger for the world title. And again, they don't have a how do I say it? I just blanked on it. Midcard title. Which maybe they should bring back the Impact TV title. I really think they need it. Their roster is growing. They've got enough guys to fill up a middleweight, kind of, not middleweight, but middle class. That's the wrong word. A secondary division for that the midcard division. There you go. So I think that's something Impact should do. Bring in another belt. Don't bring that whatever it was belt that they did like fucking MMA rules with, where they had judges and stuff. That was dirt worst. That was bad. But bring back the TV title. They had that title that eventually I think turned into the Legends Championship or whatever. I think that's what it was. I'm Googling. Yeah, it was at one point the TV title, then it was the Global Championship, and then they turned it into the Legends Championship. But I think they should bring that belt back and have guys like Moose, Eddie Edwards, Chris Sabin, W. Morrissey all fight for that belt. But then you can also use that as a way to bring guys up. When guys, I guess you could say, evolve out of the cruiserweight or the X division, kind of like we see in New Japan. When guys start to evolve out of that junior heavyweight division, they go for like the Never title. They go for the Intercontinental title, and then eventually try to challenge for the world title. And that's something Impact needs, again, as I stated, as their roster continues to grow. Andrew Miller says, what about the King of the Mountain title? Fuck that. That was literally just a title. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. The King of the Mountain title was only for the King of the Mountain match. Like, right? I don't know. But I think they should bring back that Global Television Championship. I think it's something that they could actually benefit from. And you've got guys, you've got a good little division to start with. Like I said, W. Morrissey, Eddie Edwards, Chris Sabin, Moose. I mean, Josh Alexander right now is the X Division champion, but he'd be perfect in that division. Even in a year, elevate up Chris Bay to that mid-card, right under world title level, you know. Chris Bay is somebody that could really do well in that division. A Rich Swann, Willie Mack, Rhino, Eric Young. Guys, like, it's just something for them to fight for when it's not their turn to go for the world title. You build up a challenger or two, you do a couple threats, you do a singles match, and I think it's something Impact needs. I think it's something Impact does need, a TV championship or the global title if they want to use that name again. But don't bring back whatever that stupid one was. What was that one belt? Oh, I can't even remember. I think it started with a G or something. It was the Grand Championship. That's what it was. The Grand Championship. We had rounds and rules and judges. That was just no. Mag in the Twitch chat says they don't need a mid-card belt. They can just keep both their world championship and TNA. Sure. They can do that too. Have your world title and your TNA champion. But they merged those technically though. So unless they want to split them back up, the point of that TNA title was never to bring it in as a secondary belt. It was always to bring it in, put it on Moose, have him challenge the world champion as the TNA champion, saying, I'm the real world champion. I got the TNA belt. What they did with Moose was always the plan. I know that things got messed up because they didn't do the TNA show last year where they were going to bring that belt back in the King of the Mountain match. Yeah. But that belt was never supposed to be anything but eventually merged back in with the world title. Kind of just gone. And then they got the idea of Kenny. How many belts can Kenny hold? So, but Mad G, again, yes, Moose helped reactivate the belt. But Moose was always supposed to win. From what I was told, Moose was always supposed to win that belt at the TNA show. So, you know. Jason Dalton says, and the X Division? I mean, here's the thing. X Division, it's a division with no limits, no weight limits or anything. But can you really see a guy like W. Morrissey or Moose going for the X Division title? Guys like that, Eddie Edwards. Yes, Eddie Edwards could probably go for the X Division title, be fine. But you need that right under the world title division as well. I just think it's needed. I mean, WWE has it with the Intercontinental U.S. title. New Japan has it with the Never Openweight Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. AEW has it with the TNT title. There's always something for guys to want to strive towards. And yeah, it's something they can strive towards and then eventually say, hey, I've done that. Now I want to go higher for the world title. Matt says Samoa Joe, former X Division champ, no weight class. True. But he was also doing X Division type shit. Samoa Joe was doing corkscrews over the top rope and whatnot. Johnson says Abyss won it. Yeah, and that was dumb. Abyss should have never won the X Division title. But going forward, Moose cut a promo on Chris Sabin and said it was a mistake for him to try and wrestle Moose. We then got a vignette that said, long live the Drama King. So. It looks like, what's his wrestling name now? Hold on. Oh. What's his real name? Matt something. I don't know what name he's going to go by. He's not going to go by Aiden English, but Matthew Renwalt is his real name. I don't know what name he's going to go by as far as in Impact. He's gone by Matt Mark. What's that other name he went by? Matt Marquis? I think is what it was. Is the name he's gone by. He's also gone by Drama King Matt. So Aiden English, the former Aiden English, is coming into Impact. We got a video hyping that up tonight. Mag says Matt the Singer. No, he ain't going to go by that name. Like I said, his real name is Matt Rewalt. He's gone by Drama King Matt in the past. He's gone by Matt Marquis. So we'll see. We'll see what he does. But I think before he was in WWE, that brief year before they signed him, he was Matt Marquis. So we get an impromptu match here. Shera and Madman Fulton came down to the ring. They were angered about being banned from the Ultimate X match earlier in the night. They got in the referee's face, and Scott D'Amore would come out to address the situation. Scott D'Amore brought out two men that would take care of them. And it was FinJuice, Juice Robinson, and David Finlay. Well, Dylan, his wife is not in AEW. So, yeah. His mother-in-law is in AEW. But Shaw Guerrero is not in AEW. She's actually stated recently, within the last 6 months or something, that she does not want to do wrestling right now. That she just wants to focus on herself. And, yeah. So, his wife has never been and is not in, what's it called? AEW. But we got FinJuice and Madman Fulton Shera here. This was a whatever match. It ended as quick as it started. Basically a squash. And FinJuice picked up the victory. Not much to talk about within like a minute and a half. Next up, we had Chris Sabin and Moose. This is pretty fun. I liked this match. The story between Moose and Sabin goes all the way back to when Moose injured James Storm's leg in order to qualify for the Under Siege main event. After losing to Omega, Moose came back and started a rivalry with Sabin, which had become a hell of a feud. So this was power versus speed, of course. The bigger man against the smaller man. Sabin, early on, worked over Moose's leg while dodging all of Moose's offense, but mostly went for a dragon screw and even locked in a figure four at one point, but it was only a matter of time before Moose got his hands on Sabin and cut him off. He hit a snake eyes into the corner and fully killed Sabin's momentum here. Moose worked over Sabin by tossing him from corner to corner, chopping him to the delight of the fans, and mostly torturing him with slams. Crowd was surprisingly behind Moose here, I felt. That wasn't until he got a little cocky and went for a second row moonsault, but Sabin dodged Moose's attack and was able to recover. Sabin had a nice comeback with a springboard plancha and a tornado DDT for a near fall. Sabin went to the top rope, but unfortunately, Moose desperately jumped, hit a revolution fly. Sabin rolled out of the ring and avoided a pin attempt. Moose followed this up and hit a pop-up powerbomb on the apron. He ragdolled Sabin into the guardrail repeatedly and left him for dead on a countout tease. Back in the ring, we saw both men exchange some pin reversals, and surprisingly, it was Sabin who got the win over Moose with a roll-up. Came out of nowhere. Everybody probably expected Moose to win. I mean, I expected Moose to win. As soon as Sabin got that 3, he ran away. He said, get the hell out of here. I thought this match was really good, and I thought it was a good little swerve there with Sabin picking up the victory, because Moose wins, and then what? Cool. He's got more momentum. But Moose loses, and he doesn't really lose much momentum, if any, I feel, because Moose has just been on that upward trajectory in 2021. Decay cut a promo in the back about the family gaining gold, and now they're a fully fledged stable. They've got Crazy Steve, they've got Rosemary, they've got Havoc, and they've got, who was Black Taurus. So next up, we had a fatal four-way match for the tag team championships. It was Joe Doring and Rhino of Violent by Design defending against Rich Swann and Willie Mack, the Good Brothers, and Falaba and a mystery partner. Falaba's partner was supposed to be TJP. Still don't know why he had to get pulled from the show. No clue. But Falaba came out and goes, Scott D'Amore told me, get a partner. I can pick it. And no way, Jose. Like, he said it. And I'm like, oh, crap. They're going to get in trouble. But then when he came out, the announcer said, and his partner from wherever. No way. No way what? He's just no way. With the same exact stupid gimmick he had in WWE. He's got a conga line and everything still. And I'm just like, so we're just sticking with this. Okay. Yeah, no. 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 I don't know when the decision was made to bring him in. I don't know when the decision was made that TJP can't be on the show. I don't know if this was always the plan. TJP was going to be the partner, and then they were going to switch him out. I don't know. Because they haven't given any kind of reason why TJP is not in the match or wasn't in the match. So I don't know when this all came together, how long they've known that they were going to do. I just don't know. But it was basic multi-team rules where not one person from each team, but only two men in the ring at a time. Had a couple funny spots with Swan and No Way. Good Brothers tagged themselves in and cut Swan off and held the ring for some time, working over Swan in their corner. No Way got a hot tag and ran wild on Carl Anderson. They had a good exchange, but it also didn't last long after Doring and Gallows interfered. They were barely starting to exchange strikes when everyone jumped in and took them out. Got a good sequence with everyone hitting their signature moves, starting with Swan and Ba, ending with Doring getting a near fall on No Way. Rhino set up for a gore, but Anderson jumped in and hit him with a gun stun. Magic Killer, boom. Good Brothers, once again, Impact Tag Team Champions. They regained their titles. I thought the match could have gone a little longer. I felt like, it was a little short. I went, I was watching it, and everything starts to break down, and then all of a sudden, they hit that Magic Killer, and I go, oh, that's the end, huh? Mm-hmm. Yep, okay. But regardless, I liked the match. I thought it was fun. I didn't expect No Way Jose, or No Way. I think he needs a new gimmick. I don't think that that's the right move. I think he needs to do something different, but we'll see where they go with it. Next up, we have the Knockouts champion, Deonna Purrazzo, defending against a mystery opponent. Basically, the story here is that she's gone through everybody and told Scott D'Amore, I need an opponent. Scott D'Amore goes, okay, I got a contract for you. You're going to sign this. She's like, why do I need to sign this contract? He goes, it's just formality. He's like, your obligations when you're supposed to defend your title. That's not what this is for. He goes, this is just to guarantee that you win, you get a bonus. If you lose somehow, you get a rematch. And so she's like, fine, whatever. This is all from the last week or whatever. And they played the video showing this segment again. And then Purrazzo comes out. She comes down to the ring. She gets into the ring. She's waiting. And they're like, who's going to be the opponent for Deonna Purrazzo? She's gone through everybody here in the Knockouts division. She's defeated Jordynne Grace. She exiled Taya Valkyrie. Rosemary doesn't even want a shot at her. And then out would come Thunder Rosa. I thought it was going to be Mickie James, which I still wasn't technically wrong. These two had a hell of a match. The match started with some mat wrestling, which you would expect from these two women. A lot of counters and reversals as they measured each other up. They transitioned into a little bit of a lucha tease with some roll-ups. Rosa was starting to pick up some momentum when Purrazzo caught her in the ropes and hit a divorce court, targeting the arm of Thunder Rosa. Rosa was hurting, but didn't allow Purrazzo to get control that easy. She kept going after her, after the arm, that is, Purrazzo. Purrazzo tried to get her in a submission, but couldn't really fully lock it in. Rosa made several attempts to counter and escape, but Purrazzo kept working that arm. The more and more she worked on it, of course, the weaker the arm got for Thunder Rosa. Rosa got a good near fall off of a top rope foot stomp. They exchanged chops and kicks before Rosa went for the Thunder Driver, only to get reversed into a roll-up and a knee to the face. Purrazzo hit the Queen's Gambit and won out of nowhere. Like when I said the last match seemed like it ended early, I felt like this match kind of just went to the finish. Like something, I don't know, but there was a feeling watching this of, oh, they kind of cut to the finish here. Like I did not see the finish coming at all when it did. Like in the tag title match, like I said, it came a little early. I saw maybe a minute or two more. This one, I thought could have gone at least 5-6 more minutes. These two worked tremendous together. And then, boom. Good match. But I felt like it had potential to be better because it should have gone just a smidge longer, maybe 5 more minutes. So after the match, Purrazzo starts cutting a promo, saying that she beat everybody. She even beat the one they brought in called Thunder Rosa, when all of a sudden we hear it. It's hardcore country. And out comes Mickie James to make her big return to Impact Wrestling. She greeted the fans and told Purrazzo that she respects her. Mickie said she was here to personally invite Deonna Purrazzo to compete at NWA's Empower event. Purrazzo told her, get the hell out. If she really respected her, she would have allowed her to have her moment. We got in a little bit of a brawl, which ended with Mickie super kicking Purrazzo. I think maybe this could be. Now, my first thought was, ooh, Empower main event or co-main event. But Mickie did say she's not wrestling on that show. She wrestled the next night on the anniversary show. So I don't know where this is going to lead to, whether it's Mickie challenging Deonna for the title at Bound for Glory, Mickie maybe challenging for the title at NWA 73. But Mickie did state that she's focused on producing and putting together the Empower show to where she doesn't want to take any focus from that to where she's got to work on a match herself. She wants to be 100% focused on putting the show together and not have to worry about a match of her own. So, like, it really did feel like they were setting up the main event of that Empower show to be Mickie and Deonna. And maybe they are. Maybe Mickie's changed her mind, but she did at one point say she doesn't want to wrestle on that show. She wants to just executive produce it and put on the best show possible. And so we'll see how it goes. But I feel like that could be just like people are kind of whatever on that Empower show. But if you tell me Mickie James versus Deonna Purrazzo in the main event for the Impact Knockouts Championship, that would get me a little interested to go, I might need to watch this show now. Because I don't know if I am going to watch that show or not. At least live. Like, I'll eventually watch the Empower show. But, like all NWA pay-per-views, I eventually watch them. But I don't watch them live. This one, if you told me Mickie versus Deonna, that may get me to watch live. Brian Medina, good question, says, isn't Thunder Rosa signed with NWA and AEW? She's only technically signed with NWA, but they let her work AEW as long as it doesn't conflict with anything NWA. Which I assume, again, here, same thing. As long as it's not conflicting with the NWA, they're going to let her work wherever she wants. Other than WWE. Next Impact Plus special is going to be Homecoming on July 31st. Which is a little bit of a change because wasn't that usually a January show? I could be wrong there. But then they also announced Bound for Glory 2021 coming to us from Las Vegas, Nevada. And they didn't give a building. I would assume Sam's Town, where they usually run, but they didn't give a building. But they did tease participation from AEW, AAA, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's going to be a pretty big show. It's going to be the first show for Impact not in Nashville before the pandemic, of course, but I'm trying to remember. Would it have been Hard to Kill? Where was Hard to Kill 2020? Hard to Kill was from, because I want to say the last, so this will be the first show not from Nashville since early 2020 when they did Hard to Kill in Dallas. And then I believe subsequential right after that, tapings. And they taped like 6 weeks or so. And then they got shut down for COVID. moved everything to Nashville, and ran out of the Impact Zone since. So this Dallas show or Vegas show most likely is going to be their first show since what's the word I'm looking for? Early 2020 in Dallas. Mag says Impact needs to tour live shows on Thursdays. Well, here's the thing. Impact hasn't done live shows for fucking whoever knows how long. They're always pre-taped about a month and a half to 2 months in advance. What they do is usually they'll go on the road, they'll do their pay-per-view, and then that next week to week and a half, they film. They film many weeks of shows. So they don't tour unless it's a pay-per-view weekend. Maybe they'll do it for the Impact Plus shows as well now. I don't know how that's going to go, but I do know going forward, the pay-per-views will be on the road, and we'll see what goes forth as far as the Impact Weekly show. But I assume wherever the pay-per-view's at, they'll film there as well, like they used to do in the past. Also, before we get talking about this main event, I do want to remind you guys, if you want to be part of tonight's show, you can do so by texting in to 510-906-1341. The number is in the live chat and rolling right down here periodically throughout the show. But with that, we've got our main event is the Impact World Champion Kenny Omega defending against Sami Callihan in a no disqualification match. Don Callis was on commentary. Don Callis is great. I loved at one point, Matt Stryker made some sort of a reference to the First Amendment. And Don goes, well, I'm from Canada. I don't even know what that means. It's something about like the right to say whatever you want. And he's like, they have the right to say whatever they want. It's the First Amendment, Don. And Don goes, well, I'm from Canada. I don't even know what that means. And I just go, God, Don Callis is so good at just coming up with stuff on the fly. Sami Callihan makes his way out to the ring. Kenny makes his way out to the ring with all of his belts and whatnot. He leaves them all on top of the ramp except for the Impact belt. The announcer does his intros. Don Callis goes Paul Heyman on him and grabs the mic and does the Kenny intro. Crowd starts chanting, "You got fired," and he says the same thing he said 2 weeks ago in AEW. Real man doesn't quit. He gets fired. But early on, the two went at it. Well, actually, Callihan jumped Omega during the intros and immediately hit the cactus special to try to go for the pin, but got a 2. Saturday says Don was so annoying on commentary. That's his job, though. He's supposed to be. And he does it so well. Anyways, Omega escaped an attack with a fork. Then Callihan sliced him up right hairline with a pizza cutter. Omega was then busted open here. Omega tried to get some distance and start a comeback, but Callihan kept the upper hand. It wasn't until Callihan got a bit too cocky, tried to do a Terminator dive, that Omega caught him and hit him with the lid of a trash can and some other weapons as well. Omega hit the You Can't Escape moonsault with a garbage can, but only got a 1 off of it. Omega went for an early OWA, but Callihan, well, it's One-Winged Angel, but Callihan escaped and got a 2 off of an O'Connor roll. Or O'Connor roll. Is it O'Connor roll or O'Connor roll? I always say O'Connor, but I think I might be saying it wrong. Anyways, don't matter. Kenny kicked out pretty quickly. Callihan was tossed face first into a chair, wedged into the corner, that ended up busting him open pretty badly. Omega made it worse with a fork. The match spilled to the floor where Omega introduced a table that he broke with a foot stomp with Callihan underneath it. Omega went for a snapdragon from the apron to another table, but Callihan blocked it and instead pile drove Omega through it. Callihan brought out a sheet of plywood that he powerbombed Omega through after hitting a backbreaker into a garbage can. Callihan followed this up with a barbed wire chair. Don got pissed at this point. He tried slamming Omega into it, but Omega woke up, escaped, and powerbombed Callihan into the chair and delivered his first V-trigger of the night. Omega hit a superplex into a pile of trash for a near fall. Okay, Landon says O'Connor roll. C-O-N-N-O-R. Connor, O'Connor roll. So I've always been saying it wrong. O'Connor roll. It's O'Connor roll. Gotcha. Thank you, guys. I knew somebody would correct me. Omega then hit a V-trigger, but Callihan recovered and hit a tombstone into the barbed wire chair for a near fall. But he couldn't hook the leg. Kenny kicked out. Omega had to rely on Fuji powder to blind Callihan, and I hated this spot. I always hate when it happens. Somebody gets blinded. They start going like this, like, I can't see. So they grab somebody, and they think it's their opponent, and they do their move, but it's the ref. Always hated that spot. I've always thought it was a stupid spot to get the ref out of a match, but whatever. Callihan was blinded and pile drove the referee. So Omega tried to hit a pile driver and pin Callihan. There was no referee there until finally the second ref ran out and he only got a 2. The Good Brothers tried to interfere, and all of a sudden, Eddie Edwards and Chris Sabin would join in. And I go, well, what the fuck does this make any sense? Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan wanted to kill each other a couple months back, and now he's out here trying to help Sami? That makes no sense at all. Omega survived to pack his pile driver, and Callihan escalated things even further when he brought out some thumbtacks and dumped them in the ring. Callis distracted Callihan long enough to save Omega, who hit a V-trigger. He then stabbed his knee pad with the thumbtacks and hit another V-trigger to the face of Sami Callihan. And I go, yeah, that doesn't work the way they think it does, and it was a kind of a meh kind of spot. Because it's not like he's got the thumbtacks pointing out and he's going to, the thumbtacks are in his knee pad. What really extra damage are these thumbtacks doing? You know what I mean? They said Callihan got a mouthful of thumbtacks and maybe even swallowed some off of a third V-trigger. He finally got hit with the one-winged angel on the tacks. There's a good spot. And Kenny Omega pins him to pick up the victory. So, the match was crazy. The match was just flat out what we expected once they said it was no DQ, and I loved it. I thought this match was great. Sami Callihan disappears. The Good Brothers are there. Dawn is there. They're celebrating with Kenny, and the lights go out. When they come back on, the Bullet Club logo is on the screen. And then it says it, Switch King. I think is what it was. Switch King. Jay White then comes out and makes his Impact Wrestling debut. Comes out with his Never Openweight Championship and slowly makes his way out into the ring. He gets into the ring. And Kenny Omega, the Good Brothers, are like, hey, what's going on? Too sweet, brother. Yeah, give me the too sweet. Too sweet. And Jay kind of walks towards Omega and the Good Brothers. All of a sudden, we see somebody run down the ramp. As all of a sudden, the Impact logo pops up on the screen. And we hear fucking Matt Stryker just say, all of a sudden, he just says, here we go. But with a sense of urgency. And the show just cuts. And it's over. And we get the Impact logo for a while. Then it goes black. And then text comes on the screen, says good night from Impact. And then we get the whole beep, 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 beep. And then the show's done. Apparently, what happened that we didn't see, they teased this little face-off. And then apparently, FinJuice would run down. Juice Robinson and David Finlay. And they tried to attack Jay White. Only for White to hit the Blade Runner on Juice and then leave. What? First off, who fucked up and cut the show early? But why the hell are FinJuice attacking Switchblade? Why are they attacking Jay White? Have I missed something in New Japan that I just don't know about? Because this didn't make any sense to me. Why the hell are they attacking Jay White? Can somebody let me know? I don't get that at all. Like, they're a tag team. And they're not feuding that I know of in New Japan with Jay. He's the never openweight champion. Well, that was a little weird and odd to me. That didn't make much sense, if any sense at all. And we'll see where this leads to this Thursday on Impact. But with that, guys, that was Impact Wrestling Slammiversary. I thought an A+ show. I thought 2 thumbs up. I had a lot of fun watching the entire damn show, which I can't say for a lot of other stuff that I watched recently. I don't remember the last time I said that I liked everything on a WWE show. I can't remember the last time I said I liked everything on a AEW show. This was just, hey, we've got our stuff. We've been building it up for a couple of months. Match. Boom, boom, boom. No bullshit. Except for what the hell ever that was at the end when they cut off the show early. Okay, so Matthew Dalrymple, I butchered your last name. I'm sorry. I was calling you Matthew. Says Finlay has an upcoming title match next month against Jay White. Gotcha. I hope that if we would have actually saw this happen, they would have mentioned that. Because I didn't know. He said either Finlay or Juice. One of them. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. I keep up-ish with New Japan, but not enough. Like, I really should be keeping up more with New Japan. But with that, let's check our polls to see what you guys thought of tonight's show. As far as the Twitch poll does go, 67% of you didn't like the show. Wow. 33% liked it, and nobody thought it was just all right. As far as the YouTube poll does go, 73% of you liked the show, 16% thought it was just all right, and 11% didn't like it. With that, let's check the text messages. Wow, got more text messages than I expected. First says, who should Decay defend the tag titles against first? I said earlier, if they're not going to just go straight into a rematch with Fire and Flava, Jordan Grace, Rachel Ellering. Like, what other team do they have? Kimberly and Susan? Do you think Jay White will come face Kenny down the line? I think that should be the Bound for Glory main event. I know it's a little early to set that up because they do have the Homecoming show coming up first on Impact Plus. But I think you got it right there. You've got Kenny Omega versus Jay White for the TNA Championship or the Impact title. This person says, was not expecting Jay White to come out. Do you think he will join Bullet Club or go after King? Well, he's technically the leader of Bullet Club, so he can't just join. He's the leader in Japan, which a little controversial because there's the whole, is he the leader? Is Tama Tonga the leader? Where are we going with that? I don't know. This person says, do you think some former WWE superstars are coming to Impact? Well, they announced the Drama King. He's coming. Mickey's here. There's 2. Or says, who else would you like to see from New Japan Pro Wrestling appear in Impact? That's a tough one. That's a real tough one. I mean, I'd love to see Tom Lawler show up in Impact. That would be great. Fucking Filthy Tom in Impact. He can have some good matches with like Sami Callihan, Eddie Edwards, Chris Sabin, Moose. There's one right there, Filthy Tom Lawler. Says, I think they should bring back Option C. That was such a great idea that Ace Austin came up with. Yeah, that wasn't bad. Says, what do you think of Sami Callihan? I think he's a tremendous performer in the ring, great on the mic, but here's the thing. I think he's a little hampered with being the hardcore guy, is the thing. It's just a little bit of, oh, well, he's just the hardcore guy. Now, granted, when he was Impact World Champion, I thought he was tremendous as the Impact World Champion. His whole stuff with Tessa, that stuff was great. He went maybe a little too far with the man-on-woman violence, but that stuff was still really good. I think Sami Callihan is great, and he is like the perfect guy to represent Impact Wrestling. I just think he just exudes what Impact is. Like him and Eddie Edwards are just Impact through and through. Says, any news on when Alex Shelley will return to Impact Wrestling? So Alex Shelley said he's not coming back until basically after COVID. Like once we're told COVID is no longer a thing and nobody has to worry, then he said he'll come back. It says, one thing came in my mind when No Way debuted was he doesn't want to reinvent himself. I mean, cool, he can do the gimmick all he wants, but it didn't really get over that much in WWE, especially on their main roster, so why keep doing it? It says, you think Adam Rose's gimmick was good when he was in WWE? Because when I saw No Way Jose on Impact Wrestling, I just kept asking myself, why would they do this? It's boring. What do you mean? We all said that No Way Jose was a knockoff Adam Rose, but a bigger guy, maybe a little better of a wrestler. Like, okay. First says, if AEW defends the IWGP US title in AEW, then since Jay White is now with Impact, why not have Jay White defend the NWA or the Never Openweight title in Impact, and that could be the second title? No, you don't want somebody else's belt to be your second title, because if you start like some sort of a program over the Never Openweight belt, and then New Japan just goes, you can't use that belt anymore, then you're SOL. Then you're fucked. Because if they have this, like, say they have somebody to challenge Jay White for the Never Open title, and it's like the greatest feud Impact's done in years, and then all of a sudden they go, okay, October 31st, we're going to run a show on Halloween, and you're going to defend the title in the main event, and then New Japan goes, no, you're not. And you've spent months building this up. They say no, and you're fucked. So, we'll see. But I would never focus on somebody else's belt that hard. Like with Moxley, it's just here and there he defends the belt. I think this is what, the fourth defense coming up this week against Lance Archer? And they're all just kind of just like, oh, hey, by the way, this week, we're going to get a title defense. Moxley, he's going to defend his title. Third time, because the Kenta match was on Strong. So, that's my whole thing with it. And this person here says, when do you think Kenny drops the title, and to who? I thought Sami would have been a great choice to drop it to. I don't think I've always had the thinking of Kenny should hold this title till at least Bound for Glory in October. Who takes the title from him? I thought Sami Callihan would have been a good choice, but they didn't go that route. I also thought it was a little too soon, so I was expecting Sami to not win. But as far as who, unfortunately, they've already done Moose, or I would say Moose, because Moose is right for the picking right now. Moose is hot right now. I mean, the only other name I can think of to defeat Kenny Omega for that title would be Eddie Edwards. That's the only person I can think of is Eddie Edwards, who I would put the title on. I mean, maybe you do Jay White as a transitional champion or something, but if someone in the company is going to take the belt from Kenny, it's not going to be Moose because he already lost. It's not going to be Sami Callihan because he already lost. So why not Eddie Edwards? Got a super chat donation here. It says, do you think Braun would be good in Impact? Braun versus Omega or AEW? Braun's going to ask too much money for Impact. I'm going to say that right now. Braun's going to ask too much money to go to Impact. AEW could afford him. And honestly, wherever Braun Strowman goes, or Adam Shearer, whatever name he's going to go by, he's going to be a megastar. Because kids, you don't think about this, but young kids love Braun Strowman. My son loves Braun Strowman. We went to a house show in 2019, and he was the most excited when Strowman came out over everybody. Because kids see Braun Strowman, this big, muscular guy, and they go, oh, wow. That's a character. That's the guy we'd see on cartoon. Like, just from Braun's look, he's got that look to kids of cartoon character. And kids love him. Kids love Braun Strowman. And my son just turned 10 last weekend. He was always all for Braun Strowman. Like, his favorite wrestler, of course, John Cena. But other than John Cena, like, he's never, I can't say never, he has, but he doesn't remember it because he was only like 4 years old. He's seen John Cena live, doesn't really remember it. But as far as like who he's seen live and got excited for was Braun Strowman. And he's seen Dolph Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton. Like, we've gone to multiple shows, and he's seen all the top guys in WWE. But other than John Cena, he gets the most excited for Braun Strowman. And that show we went to in 2019, a lot of families around us with a lot of kids. A lot of them kids, especially the boys, were just ecstatic when Strowman came out. So Strowman's going to be big with kids no matter where he goes, especially if they've got a good crowd, a good family crowd. But I don't see him going to Impact because they're not going to be able to afford him. And he can go to AEW, but I would not put him against Omega. I would not just go, hey, it's the former Braun Strowman and he's going against the champ. I would not do that at all. And finally, this last text message here. This person says, do you think Jay White showing up in Impact could lead to maybe Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers appearing in Japan for New Japan Pro Wrestling? I wish, but no. With all the COVID stuff going on, it's just not feasible for Kenny to go to Japan right now and still be able to work weekly for AEW. It's just not, it's not plausible. That's why Moxley hasn't done it yet. It's just not plausible for him to go quarantine for 2 weeks, work whatever show, quarantine for 2 weeks, and then come back. He's going to miss like a month of AEW, possibly, if that's still the protocol. I mean, Tokyo's in such a state of emergency right now with COVID that the Olympics are going to run, but with no fans in attendance, which really sucks. But with that, guys, I want to say thank you for joining me here to talk about Impact Wrestling Slammiversary. Again, I give this show 2 thumbs up. I had a blast watching this show, and I hope you guys did as well. Remember, you can follow us on social media, facebook.com/Pro Wrestling ULTD. Follow us on Instagram by searching for Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and follow us on Twitter at PW Unlimited. Remember, we will be back right here, probably right around the same time on Twitch and YouTube, talking Money in the Bank. That show should be great. I'm going to say it right now. That men's Money in the Bank ladder match, I don't think they could have picked a better 8 guys for that Money in the Bank ladder match. The men's match tomorrow. Like, that match is going to be great. But with that, we'll talk about all that tomorrow and more when it comes to Money in the Bank right here, Pro Wrestling Unlimited. So with that, guys, have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right.